When you first look at the Anauroch Desert on the map, it appears as a featureless splotch on the border of things, separating regions or acting as a hindrance between here and there. In actual fact, it's a place of immense adventure and one of the most exciting regions of Faerun that I'm quite fond of. Being a desert environment, it introduces the idea of survival as a factor in the game, with challenges like heat and lack of water. The fact that most creatures living there are predatory is very interesting, creates a thematic plot element that makes venturing into the area quite difficult and therefore quite rewarding. In the modern day, the Bedine people are the natives of the Anauroch Desert. The Bedine are a proud, warlike race, very Arabic in their outlook and style, with brown skin and eyes, black or brown hair, and average height. They have very honor-centric culture, similar to the Klingon culture, where honor is central to their life. They're divided into about 100 different tribes, with one of the largest having around 300 members. They've lost their original written language, but trade has introduced the Thoras alphabet as their current written language, and the spoken language is Madani and Aleutian. The Bedine ride around in camels, which are plentiful in the Anauroch Desert, along with riding lizards, which are more drake-like than dinosaur-like creatures, and giant birds. Many exotic animals live in the desert, alongside remnants of the previous empire. Where great empires have fallen, thousands of ruins become uncovered and covered over again by the shifting sands of the Anauroch Desert. It's a landscape of continual threats, excitement, danger, mysteries, secrets, and forbidden areas, with things that crawl up through the sand and plague the Bedine, who are very cautious about this. Although they worship traditional gods, they use different names, so Lathander, Selûne, Talos, Sirik, Kalimbor, and Beshaba are known as Atar, Itar, Koza, Neser, and Shaondakal. They have a harsh outlook, believing the existence is tested by the desert. The Bedine have many rites of passage, and those who can survive in the desert are respected, much like the Fremen from the Dune movie. The desert was created to test the worthy, to take the despoilers of the natural world, and on the bones of their great defeat and shame, the true people of the world are tested and smited on God's hammer, with the desert as the anvil. The Bedine occasionally stand in the way of people who would enter the ruins without due cause. If they're going in without knowing what they're looking for, they'd say it's best not to disturb the ancient tombs of their forefathers, as they left behind horrors. The shame of their grasping for power unlocked dangers that now walk the earth and haunt their descendants like a curse of the gods. They view adventurers as people who would unlock crypts, bringing more hardships and dangers to their world and their people. They believe it's better that the desert swallow the memory of the past, maintaining a humble aspect to let the desert forge them into a better people. Also active in the area are the Zentarum, a large mercenary organisation. We'll cover in more detail later. The diminutive Tartarig are another race of humans who inhabit the Anauroch Desert. Mainly around the borders, they stand a little over 4 feet tall, with puggish noses and wrinkled brows, and dress in white burnouses with turbans. They wear special wide sandals to make walking on desert sands easier, and usually cover their mouths, leaving only their noses and eyes visible, wrapped in voluminous desert robes. While the Bedine are perhaps more infamous, it's more likely that an outsider will encounter a Tartarig tribesman first, as they live on the borders, where the Bedine inhabit the sword area and the Daratig are on the peripheries. The Tartarig are proud and boastful about their desert survival expertise, often making claims they find difficult to back up. They're naturally suspicious, believing they're immune to trickery, yet they are expert tricksters and capable thieves themselves. They have some dwarven ancestry, but haven't inherited the stonecraft of their dwarven forebears. A few individuals possess a superb, almost preternatural sense of direction, making them excellent guides through the ruins and twisting standing stones of the deep desert. The topography of the Anauroch Desert is divided into different zones. The primary regions are now snow desert to the far north, and the latitude at the spine of the world and Neverwinter, where it gets very cold indeed. The high ice takes up a substantial upper portion of the desert, and below and to the east lies the frozen sea. In the middle of this plain of standing stones and toward the south is the sword, the wide regions of the Anauroch. Travel through the Anauroch region is divided by trade routes, including Zentarum-controlled oases, open oases, Zentarum-only caravan routes, and main caravan routes. Different places are inhabited, with Darkhold being one of the biggest in the Sword. Lion's Eye Oasis is fairly famous, and there's the central region, the Sayador, the mountain range, the Wall of the Chasm and the Road of Jackals, the Bitterwell and El Mazra, and the bordering areas. Farther up towards the frozen area is the Throat, which travels into the high ice, and the Oasis of Vipers as you come down into the Sword region. Crossing from the Lonely Moor, the first place you'll reach is called Vorwerthal. Most trade and commerce occur around settlements in the mountains outside the open dunes, as it's easier to live in sheltered areas. There's a lake in the middle with Tal de Beda and the Lost Vale as you head into the Dale Lands and the Moon Sea area. Further south lies Cormyr Ascalon, and to the east, the Sword Coast. The Anauroch Desert is centrally located, and trade routes are crucial. Finding a reliable way across the Anauroch can make you fabulously wealthy through trade, though it's rife with brigandry and political complexities. The best thing I can say about Anauroch as a location is that it's twisting and turning with a lot of hidden depth. It's a place where you can easily locate really cool, weird encounters and delve into things. Much has been lost, and it's reasonable to assume a huge amount remains unexplored. Although consistently inhabited by the Bedine and others, they know to stay away from the deadly ruins, which are a draw card for adventuring types. There are a couple of good resource sourcebooks available. The Anauroch Empire of Shade sourcebook is available as a PDF, and is the old 2nd edition AD&D accessory Anauroch Desert, which is very extensive. I recommend reading these for more details. And as you go further north, there's ice, desert, wasteland, predators, white dragons, worms, sandworms, and giant beetles, adding to the dangers of the Anauroch Desert. Netheril was a magocracy, one of the ancient human empires of Faerun, home to the most powerful wizard who ever walked Faerun, Karsus. The Netherese crafted powerful artifacts known as mythalars, which allowed mundane objects to become magical, dramatically changing the face of the Netherese empire, or rather, the upper side, as Netheril became divided into High Netherese and the Low Netherese. The Neth was a group of small farming villages that banded together for protection, leading to an empire of human wizards with cities that floated across the sky in terrible arrogance, nearly stripping Toril of its magic forever. The Empire of Netheril was the oldest surviving human empire, passing through several phases. The first age was the founding and settlement of Netheril region by humans, who learned magic from elves. This was followed by the Nether Age, or Nether Scroll Age, which marked the peak of their magical power. During this time, the Netherese broke new ground in magical pursuits and exploited other planes and crystal spheres. Karsus, a wizard of immense power, rose to prominence, seeking to seize the power of the gods themselves. The Netherese believed anything was possible, with limitless scope for development as individuals. Karsus' attempt to steal the power of Mistral, the goddess of magic, led to the fall of the empire. Mistral sacrificed herself to save Faerun and was replaced by Mystra. When magic ceased to exist temporarily, the Netherese cities, built on chopped-in-half mountains, flipped over with peaks pointing down, majestic and magical, fell from the sky. These ruins of former cities are a hallmark of the Anauroch Desert, scattered like a plain of standing stones flowing over thousands of dangerous ruins. When the Netherese cities fell and magic ceased, the Netherese Empire was obliterated in one fell swoop. The remnants were targeted by the Faerim, otherworldly creatures that look like tube socks with grasping claws and a maw with floating flower petal-like features. These alien-looking floating aberrations are wholly evil, sadistic, and seek to erase all life from the primaterial plane. The Netherese deep delving into magic brought the Faerim into contact, becoming a deadly threat. The Faerim drain magic and kill people. After the Empire's fall, the Netherese went into hiding, some underground, some to other planes, leaving behind successor states like Azram, Anoria, and Theldalathan, which survived briefly as colonies but were destroyed by the encroaching desert. Some Netherese culture survived in Halrua and the Shining South, though Halrua was nearly wiped out during the Spell Plague, continuing a cycle of growth and destruction. The hubris of the Netherese Empire has been duly punished since Karsus's folly. The Netherese have started to reappear, coming out of hiding or returning from other places. The City of Shade reappeared from the Plane of Shadow, the Shadowfell, over the Great Forest and drifted back to the Anauroch Desert to reclaim their ancient homeland. They used magical means to restore the desert and to arable land, disrupting the Bedine and the Tataric way of life. The Shadowvar, ancient Netherese warped by their long exile in the Shadowfell, are dark and twisted, like the Shadow Kai, but retain the haughty arrogance of the re-established Netherese magocracy. They aim to reclaim the desert and restore it to a garden paradise that, in their eyes, it once was, though it never truly was that great. The history of the Netherese informs much about the operation of magic and the gods of magic in Faerun, providing a bedrock for understanding the Weave, its disruptions, and the Spell Plague. If you can get hold of the sourcebook Lost Empires of Faerun, it offers extensive information on the Netherese Empire, the greatest magocracy, and its history. Faerun is a living campaign world, constantly updating and changing. The timeline progresses even now with the new plots and events emerging. Some information may already be outdated, and I'm learning at the same rate as you, so new details may come to light. The Anauroch Desert is a place of ancient knowledge, empires, wealth, power, and deadly disasters, tragedies and haunted horrors. There are many dead and undead within the Standing Stone areas, along with the Faerun and other threats. I hope you enjoyed this guide to the Anauroch Desert, its appearance, and its inhabitants. My name is AJ Pickett. Thank you for listening, and as always, I'll be back with more for you very soon.